Welcome to agent training on how to quote an HO3, HO6, DP3, and HO4 policy on the Jigger MGA website. First, once you've logged into the website, you'll select Policy Administration. From here, you'll select New Quote. We'll be quoting a site-built home, so we'll leave it on home. If you were going to quote manufactured home, you would select mobile to change the options of the screen. Next, we're going to select what type of risk we're writing, an HO3, a DP3, HO4, or HO6. In this case, we are going to quote an HO3. Next, we continue to fill in the information on the front page. Once we have all the fields completed, we will select Next. From there, we can use to correct my entered address or use suggested address. If you use suggested address, that will pre-fill your BCEG, protection class, and construction type. That will bring us into our coverage screen. There's some you can change from here. First, we have our value of our home and a replacement cost estimate. If this number is lower or higher than this amount, you are allowed to write up to 80% of this amount or up to 150% of this amount if you need more coverage. If you need lower or higher than the 80 to 150%, please complete a costimator and send it to underwriting for an override. From here, we can increase our liability coverage, our other structures, our contents. We can decrease or increase and increase our medical payments. Roof covering, you can, if it's a newer roof, you can add FBC equivalent. However, I suggest if you do not have a wind mitigation in hand that you do not change any of these settings. If you do have a wind mitigation, follow the wind mitigation and be sure to upload it to the policy immediately after binding. If you do not have a wind mitigation, do not guess on these credits because it will change the premium quite dramatically. And if you do not have a wind mitigation, they will be removed. So be sure you have a wind mitigation to add any of these coverages, with the exception of roof shape. You can add either a hip roof or other, and there is a discount for hip roof. Most of the other things will fill the terrain, the roof renovated year, your protection class, your construction type, and your BCEG. From here, you can change some of your options if you want to increase your deductible, change your ordinance or law, if you want to add other coverages. Identity theft is always automatically checked, so if you do want to remove it, just simply uncheck it. Um, all new business currently does require a roof service payment schedule for HO3 and DP3 business. So since this is an HO3, we are going to want to add the roof surface payment schedule. If you forget, the system will remind you. The credit score will be pulled when you go into the application, but if you want to see what the premium would be, you can select the different amounts to see what it would change the premium. And off to the side, you'll see we do have our rate watch. So if you want to do a comparison between different deductibles or different credit scores, you can see the difference in premium right off to the side. Additionally, you have additional discounts here, your credits, your fire alarm, secured building, gated community, electronic policy delivery, um, all the discounts there. Your scheduled personal property would be here. And then this would be to add our flexible flood endorsement. Typically, X zones qualify, but this flood zone is an NFIP flood zone. It may not be the same flood zone in the mapping that we use. So you want to complete your flood information. And if you want to see if the policy qualifies for flexible flood, you simply select flexible flood endorsement. Once all this information is completed, in this case, I want to go ahead and quote the flexible flood to see if it qualifies. I'm going to select next. And you are going to see in this case, even though it's an NFIPX zone, it doesn't qualify. So it tells me that flood coverage is not available at this time for this location. So that is the only error I have on the page right now. So I'm just simply going to unselect it because I know I cannot add it, and then select next. From here, I will get my quote screen with the premium, discounts that are applied or declined. If they are declined, it will show you what that credit would be. If somebody would like to know what it would be to add that credit, it's right here on the quote page. And you can print the quote. Additionally, from printing the quote, you can actually email the quote right from the system. So you have the option to print or email. From here, if you were to go into an application and you have your quote completed, you would want to fill out the credit reporting information, which is basically the date of birth. Your agent ID would pre-fill and the person's name would be here as well. Once you fill out that information, you're going to simply select yes, and then go ahead and select next. This will bring you into your application screen and you can start completing your application from here. Anything you are missing, if you skip a field by accident, you can, once you hit next, it'll highlight any fields that are still required. And at the top, it'll let you know which fields are still required. If there's anything here, such as maybe a loss that requires underwriting approval, again, you will get a notice at the top of this page. It will not let you move on till you either address the errors or you contact underwriting for approval if it is needed. Once you finish your first page, you'll get to your second page of your application to select your payment plan, your insured information, co-applicant information, if any, underwriting information that is not pre-filled, and mortgage information if there is any. If you have any notes you'd like to send off to underwriting, you can write them in here, and then you'll simply select next. The next screen will ask you if you'd like to save the application or bind coverage. You can select to save it if you want to go back in later to bind, or you can select bind to bind coverage the as of the effective date on the start of the policy.